Hey there everybody. So as you see here in front of me, I have the new EzUHF transmitter and receiver that I just got from Ready Made RC. And today we're going to do a video on how to connect your transmitter to the trainer port in the back of your Spektrum radio. So first of all, when we get our EzUHF transmitter, it's going to come with this S-video cable right here. As you can see, I cut the end of it off because the end of it had a Futaba plug on it, which we don't need. So this is the cable that we're going to use to make our plug with. And then we also have a power cable that came with the transmitter that we're going to use to power the EzUHF transmitter with the 3-cell LiPo. And then the separate cable that I had to buy, which I will put a link in the description to, was this 3.5mm plug that I got from Ready Made RC. And this is what we're going to solder to our S-video cable to make our plug, which goes into the trainer port. So to figure out which pin that we need to be using to find our PPM and ground signal, we're going to go to the Emerson website and look at their diagram here. As you can see, when looking at the transmitter, we have our PPM signal and our ground signal. And these are the two that we're going to have to find out which wire runs to so we can make our plug. And as you see, I kind of made my own little diagram, which is easier for me to refer to. On the top is the exact same thing that the website has, which is the plug when looking at our transmitter. But what I did is made a diagram that shows for when I'm looking at that actual S-video plug. So right here, if we take our S-video plug, as you can see, and we're looking straight down the barrel of it, and we have this little box thing that's on the bottom, this top right pin that we have is going to be our PPM signal. And then the bottom left is going to be our ground. And the only thing we have to determine is which wire runs to each pin. And I've already done that using my handy little multimeter right here. And I found out that the PPM signal is the red wire and our ground signal is the white wire. And I know these colors seem to be a little off. Most of us associate black wire with the ground and the PPM signal with another color except for red, because that's usually for our batteries. But I assure you, I've already connected it with alligator clips just to make sure that it worked, because I wasn't sure about the colors. And yes, it worked. Everything was working fine. So these are the colors we're going to go with: red for the PPM and white for the ground. So now that makes things a little bit easier. So we'll take our S-video plug. We have our wires coming out of the end of it. So we're going to get rid of the black one and we're going to get rid of the green one. Those will not be used. So we only need the red and the white. And then when we get our 3.5mm plug, we can see coming out of the end of it, we have a red wire, which is running to the tip of the plug right here, which I found out using my multimeter. And this tip is our PPM signal. And then everything else behind it is our ground. So the black wires are going to be our ground. So basically we're going to solder the red wire from the 3.5mm plug to the red wire on our S-video plug, just like this. And then we're going to solder the white wire from our S-video to the black wires from our 3.5mm plug. After we solder those together, we're going to put some heat shrink around it, make it look nice and pretty, and then that's going to be our connector to our trainer port. And then for this other plug that we have for the power, as normal, we're going to solder a Dean's connector to it, and then that's going to be where we connect our 3-cell LiPo to give power to our EzUHF transmitter. So I'm going to go solder all these together, and then I'll come back when I'm done and show you what the finished product looks like. Alright, as you see now, we have everything put together right. We have our power wire with our Dean's connector plugged to it, and then we have our plug that we just made that goes into our trainer port on our transmitter. So now we're going to test them out, see how they work, and bind our transmitter to the receiver and make sure everything's working properly. So now we'll just plug this directly into the back of our transmitter. As you see, it comes on. And be sure when you do this that the power is off. And when you do that, the transmitter comes on, but it's now in slave mode, so it no longer transmits in 2.4 gigahertz. It's doing the frequency of your UHF. So we see our transmitter came on. Now we're going to power up our UHF transmitter, and we're going to put it in bind mode, and then we're going to power on our UHF receiver, and it's going to bind to the receiver. So what you do is you power it up, hold the bind plug down, and it starts making a lot of noise. Now we're going to power up the airplane that's got the receiver on it, and we're going to hold down the bind button on it. See, the light goes off, and then you just wait a second. And there it comes back on, and that means it binds correctly when it blinks 3 times like that. If it blinks more times, that means that you had an improper bind. And as you see, we move the control, everything's working. So now we're going to unplug everything. So we take everything out of bind mode, and now when we plug it up, it should be working just fine. So plug everything up. See, control surfaces are working, and throttle's working. So now it's all ready to go, and that's how we connect our EzUHF transmitter to our Spektrum Dx6 and control our airplanes. So I hope that information helps you, and if you have any questions, you can ask them, and I'll try to answer them, since this is my first UHF receiver that I've ever had. So, and if you see something that I can improve on, please let me know. Bye.